When it comes to getting ideas for our gardens, there are a number of sources we can choose from. I like getting ideas from garden magazines, watching other gardening programs, or even attending home and garden or flower shows. There are also public gardens across Oklahoma we can visit to get ideas for our home gardens, but another way is to visit other gardeners and see what they're doing. One of my favorite private gardens to visit is the garden of Lynn Hughes. Now, Lynn is one of our Oklahoma gardening ambassadors, and she's been with our program now for 12 years. Hello, Lynn.
Hi, Steve.
Welcome back to the TV program.
Thanks very much. It's exciting.
Now, Lynn, your garden has been featured on Oklahoma Gardening a few times in the past, back with Ray Campbell,
Yes.
and then with Brenda Sanders
Right.
a few years ago. But that wasn't this garden, is that right?
That was at another house we lived in, Stillwater.
Okay.
Then we moved here.
All right. How long have you guys been here?
We've been here at this place for 5 years now.
5 years.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And what was here to begin with when you
Well,
guys moved in?
We felt the Lord blessed us by allowing us to come here, and it was a beautiful place with the huge pecan trees all around, but there weren't a lot of gardens, and the area here at the front of the house had the shrubs planted, and there was a huge mass of tangled, overgrown honeysuckle growing right here with pecan seedlings growing up through it. I took that all out and replaced it with the Powis Castle Artemisia and the juniper and the lantana, and that was a start. Right?
Okay.
And I started bringing plants over from the other house before we even brought furniture over.
So before you moved in, you were
Right.
digging up those plants
Yes.
and bringing them over.
I wanted to save my plants.
Got to take those plants with you. Well, this lantana you mentioned, which lantana is this? It looks like it's been here for several years.
It does, but that's only 1 year's growth on that lantana. I planted it there last fall. It overwintered, and this is a pink canary.
Pink canary hardy lantana.
Yes.
Okay, quite a bit of growth since about 1 year ago.
1 year's growth.
Okay, and you can see the butterflies absolutely love that
It's
plant.
an attractant to butterflies and bees. And
Okay. Being a lantana, it is woody, but you just cut that back
yes,
to the ground, early in the
And-
spring
right.
and let it regrow. And your Powis Castle Artemisia looks great here. I love the way you've got the streamline effect. The bed's just kind of curving around the corner of your home, kind of softens that corner, and I really like the way you mix the plants together. The aster here was one you brought over as well?
Came from the other house, that's right, yes. That was
Okay.
a plant that someone had given me. I don't know the variety on that one, but I've had it for, about 10 years now.
Okay. And glad to see it is doing well in this garden also.
Yes, it
Well,
is.
Lynn, on the edge of your property, you have one of the most beautiful perennial borders I've ever seen. Let's go take a look at that.
Okay.
Well, Lynn, I call this a perennial border, but it's actually more of a mixed border. You do have some tender plants in here as well. How long is this border you got
It's
here?
200 feet from the street back to the end of the property.
That's quite a garden.
It's quite
In
a,
and of
it was
itself.
a lot of railroad ties to bring in, I tell you.
Okay. And this large border here not only gives you something to look at and a nice place to garden, but it also serves a few other functions.
That's correct. Something was going to have to be done because when we moved here, we noticed that all the water, the runoff water, drains from the entire south end of this neighborhood through that ditch right behind our property there. And it was coming over into the yard and running up to the house and even getting under the house. So we couldn't accept that. Something had to be done. So we brought 2 or 3 truckloads of soil in and raised the area to prevent that. And so that's one purpose. And then also it gives us, I wanted a privacy edge along
Sure.
here to separate us and it also gives me a place to just plant pretty ornamentals.
All right, so several purposes here. Keeps that surface water runoff away
Right.
from the house, and the bermed up area gives you a nice garden spot, and again, a good privacy screen here with some of these tall shrubs like the vitex here. And this is a nice summer flowering shrub. Got a few buds coming on in the fall. And I notice you've got a Ravina grass here. This is a grass that you're fond of.
Yes, it has such a stately look, being so tall like that, and also helps with the screening effect.
A little hardier than the pampas grass.
Oh, much, yes, and I just enjoy the appearance of it.
Okay. And also helping with the screening effect is this vine structure with the sweet autumn clematis.
That's right.
You've got growing on
Right.
there. Yeah. That was, I'm sure, beautiful a few days ago.
It was so pretty about a week ago with the white blossoms on it, and the fragrance you can smell clear over on our patio when we're out there. It's just lovely.
Well, that certainly is a nice pink rose you've got here in the middle of
Don't you like that
I
pink
do.
rose? That was one that you gave me a start of,
That's
Steve.
that's the same rose, the Belinda's Dream.
Belinda's Dream. It
Okay.
surely is.
Okay, it's
Doesn't
doing
have very
great.
many on it right now, but sometimes it's just loaded and it's beautiful.
One of the best roses for Oklahoma, I believe. Well, here's a plant we used to plant when I was a gardener over at the city of Tulsa years ago. What is this plant, Lynn?
That is called gizzard leaf, or irisine.
Irisine, gizzard leaf. Nice, tender
I
plant.
love the color. It's just such a contrast.
It's so bold.
Yes.
Yeah. And you've contrasted it very well with the lamb's ears here. I think that's quite a good job you've done contrasting those two colors. Well, you've got impatiens out here that get quite a bit of sunlight. How do you pull that off?
You know, I don't know. I think, again, I think the Lord blesses, because I water them, and I guess they get enough shade on the west side from the grass there, and they're right up close to the Elaeagnus there, and right on the north side of it, and they just do beautiful all summer.
They're kind of protected from the drying
Yes,
winds, and
yes.
as long as you keep them moist.
That's right.
They look good.
They do require the water.
They look great. Another grass I see you've got here is
Morning light.
great one, great morning light miscanthus. I've heard some folks over in the eastern part of the state aren't fond of this grass, but here in Stillwater, does great.
It's done beautifully for me. I had it over at the other house and moved it over here, and it's just done well all these years.
It's certainly happy here. One of my favorite grasses as well.
Mine.
Tell us about this salvia, Lynn.
This is indigo spires, and I tell you, one of the advantages of being an ambassador for Oklahoma gardening is the plants that we share with other ambassadors. And I got this from a really good ambassador, Owen Thomas. Raised this from a seed, and it has done really well for me here too.
And that's just one plant.
Yes, it is.
It's a huge salvia. It is a tender salvia.
It's tender, except this one happened to winter over last winter. Again, no explanation, except I really did
Mulch it.
cover it up with mulch.
Okay. So might overwinter and some mild winters. in a
maybe.
Protected spot. And I know you really like this grass. This is
That
one of
is-
your favorites.
Excuse me, that is one of my favorites, yes, the cabaret, because I love the wide leaf and I love the white color. You were talking about something being bold back there. This one is really bold in the landscape, especially from a distance. When you stand back and look at it from a distance, it stands out.
It just
and
really shows up in the garden.
Yes, it does.
Outstanding. Well, Lynn, as you've designed the gardens around your home here, you've done a number of gardening design techniques. You've got the borders, these edgings of planting areas along the side of your property, and then those plantings bordering around the edge of your home or your foundation. But another option for adding gardens or planting areas to your property is to do island beds. And I can tell you absolutely love island beds.
I like the island beds. I just think they add a lot to your yard, and we situated this one so that we would view it from the patio up there, and it just is a nice backdrop to the large trees back, or the trees form a nice backdrop for this.
For this garden. Okay, and it's sort of laid out in, I don't know what you would call this, maybe a paisley shape or
That's a good, I have never heard that, but that's a good
something
shape
like
for
that.
it,
Maybe
right.
a paramecium or something.
Yes.
Something like
Yes.
that. And
I like curvy lines, serpentine lines.
Sure.
Nothing on, my husband kids me because nothing on this place is square cornered.
All right. Those curvy lines make that nice, relaxed,
Yes.
I think, look in the garden. And when you do this, you just come out with a garden hose and lay that out?
I lay it out to the design that I think is attractive and then go from there.
Okay. Well, Lynn, you certainly have a knack for designing with plants. You mentioned that you put some of the planting material in this garden because you're viewing it primarily from this angle back here. So you've got the junipers here in the back to give you a nice backdrop. And then what is it you look for when you move the plant material into the garden?
Several things. Size, I like a different height levels, and I also like the different colors, but there's also texture is a part of it.
Okay.
And the boldness of the plants, some of them are kind of shrink into the background and some of them stand out. So
Okay.
color, texture, size, all of those things.
And that contrast.
Yes, contrast.
That you get with
Yes.
like the just the difference in between the different plants
Yes.
from plant to plant as you move through the garden.
That's what I
you
try
do such a great job with that.
You're very kind. Thank you.
I see one thing that helps you keep some of this Bermuda grass out of the garden is your edging.
Oh, I couldn't, it would be very hard to maintain a bed in Bermuda grass for me without the edging. So I have that in all of my beds.
That edging keeps those rhizomes from moving into the
Yes.
bed underneath the ground.
Yes.
But we also have to come by with a weed eater
Have to do that about every 2 weeks or they would just go right over the
yeah,
edging.
those
But
above ground stems, those stolons, would just jump the fence there and
Yes,
get into the
they
garden.
do.
Okay, but edging is definitely beneficial. And I see you use a lot of mulch in your beds.
I am a proponent of mulch. I certainly am. It keeps the weed seeds down from germinating. It also, of course, keeps the moisture in the ground. And those two main things, really. I have mulch also. In the spring, I put about a 4-inch layer of mulch over all the beds. Of course, by now it has composted down and it's just barely covering the surface of the ground, but mulch is very important maintaining.
I see you have a few pine needles and some other organic matter over here. What type of material is that?
We get mulch. I don't buy mulch. I use whatever I can find. We go around and collect bags of leaves that people have set out on the curbs in the fall. And I have a shredder, and we come back and I shred those and use those. And then sometimes people give me pine needles, and those are about the only two things,
Okay.
pine needles and the shredded leaves.
Shredded leaves and that kind of thing. Makes for a good organic matter build up
Yes.
over the years.
Yes, it does.
Okay.
It has improved the soil quite a bit over the years.
Okay. Well, I see another island bed back here, and I'd like to take a look at some of the beds up around the back part of your home.
All right.
Well, Lynn, here in the back part of your property, right off your back patio, you've done quite a bit of landscaping, and I understand that this large patio wasn't here to begin with?
No, it was not. Grass went right up to the house, but in the summertime, we love to entertain outside. That's our favorite way of entertaining. So we built a large patio, and you mentioned a while ago, I even have an island bed in the center of the patio.
You like islands so much, you can put one in your patio.
In the center of the patio.
Good touch, great touch.
And again, the patio has the very serpentine lines, no square corners
curvy
on
edges.
the patio. When people drive up, they drive up to that area right there, and so I landscaped along the garage and the pathway so that as they came to the patio area, it would be attractive to them.
Be a nice little entry garden.
Yes, that's what I was trying to attain anyway. And so we're very pleased with the way the patio and the gardens around the patio came out. And then of course this right here faces the patio, so as we sit there with our evening meal and throughout the evening we have the island beds to look at.
This island bed and the other one
Yes.
we were just talking about. And I noticed you've got some very colorful plants in this garden, and your cannas are stunning. Lots of color to look at.
I
while
like
you're
that
sitting on the
particular
patio.
canna because the flowers on it are so large, and I just think it's a very attractive canna. That one is Stat
Feldbach.
Feldbach.
Okay, beautiful, beautiful canna. And then over here you've got one with the red flowers.
Yes, and that one is called Ambassador. I can remember that name easily.
Oh yeah, good name for that canna. It also goes by the name of Black Knight. Is that,
I
is
think
that right?
that's correct. Yes,
Okay,
both
couple
of those
different-
nights are
different
both of
names.
those names are used with that canna, I believe.
Well, Lynn, in the back there, I like the way you've got your garden shed kind of tucked into the border. It's not just sitting out in the lawn somewhere.
That's
It's
what we tried to do. We kind
landscaping around
of really didn't completely hide it, but it kind of blends in now better than it did.
And it'll blend in even more when those
When they get-
clematis get growing up
yes,
on those structures. I
right.
see. And you also have a barrier or a barricade to keep the little four-legged visitors out of your garden.
Yes, four-legged visitors can cause a lot of problems, as you well know. So we fixed what has worked pretty well for us in keeping out the armadillos and the deer especially.
Okay, so those lower wires of the electric fence are to keep out the
Keep out
armadillos,
the
maybe
armadillos,
the skunks.
yes, it has helped. Doesn't stop them entirely, but it's been a whole lot better year this year than in the past.
Okay, deters them a little bit.
Yes, it does.
Okay. Well, Lynn, I think you're a wonderful garden designer.
Oh,
I certainly
thank you.
appreciate you
Thank
showing us
you.
around your garden.
I enjoyed having you come out today. Appreciate you, Steve.
It's wonderful.